Morning. It's Dr. Dina, Innovator in Health and Wellness. And today's video is going to be about finding your center and creating the reality that you love. You know, we're in a chaotic world right now, and if I see another video of, Hillary Clinton and Ben and Biden and Obama, all in bed together, and the Black Lives Matter movement being a front to the Democratic Party, and masks and quarantine centers and mandatory vaccines, and I'm gonna go bananas. So you kind of have to remove yourself, from that to keep your own sanity, because the world looks pretty crazy out there right now, and you have to remove yourself from that to kind of go within and to find solitude, to find your strength, to find your courage to even continue living in this world, right? So let's talk a little bit about some of the details first, about masking. So what I've come to see is that most people that are in a mask realize now that it doesn't protect against the virus, right? So it doesn't take a lot of research to understand that. So most people that are wearing masks right now are feeling fearful, either for their livelihood or fearful of what other people will think, or they don't like confrontation or whatever it is. But it's not about health, right? It's about succumbing or admitting or supporting the agenda. So it's really important right now. It's really important for those who understand first that masks are not helpful, right? That the viruses are little nanobits of dead genetic material, and they're actually helpful for our body, that they help strengthen our immune system, and they help grow and evolve our species. So if you didn't know that already, that's the science, behind viruses and bacteria have been around for thousands of years. They actually help us. But those people who are still wearing the masks are, again, submitting to the agenda that there's some kind of pandemic out there, some kind of bug that's going to kill us if we don't wear it. And this is all, again, to feed that pharmaceutical illusion so they can sell you the vaccine. But for those who understand not only the science, but then the second phase is have the courage to stand up and take off your muzzle. Right, this is the part that we're missing now. The science is out there. Most people are aware. I have many friends, many colleagues, doctors that understand the masks are not protecting them. And the kicker in this is that the masks actually do tremendous damage. So if you're a healthcare practitioner now wearing this mask 8 hours a day, or putting your child in a mask for 8 hours a day, you will know that reducing oxygen kills brain cells, causes irreparable damage, says many of the MDs, right? You are breathing in your own waste products, so you're not excreting properly. That too can cause headaches and toxicity in your body. It also reduces your oxygen saturation. So I did a YouTube video where I put a pulse oximeter on my finger, and I did this little experiment where I put the mask on my face. And when I was in practice, we used this oxygen saturation as a means of determining health. When your oxygen saturation goes to a certain level, you're hypoxic, you need to have oxygen, or you have you're at risk for a cardiovascular incident, a heart attack or stroke. So we know that smothering ourselves, right, covering up our mouth and nose is not a good thing, right? We know that. And the authorities know that, right? So Dr. Robert Strang is our health advisor here. Now, I know Dr. Strang doesn't believe it, because back in May, he actually was quoted in the Cape Breton Post as saying masks are useless for this virus. So he's now quickly came on board with his World Health Organization recommendations to mask up everybody. So he knows, right? The police officers, the 3 police officers that were sort of supervising the rally in New Brunswick on the weekend had masks on. So funny. There's 100 of us in this square at City Hall in Moncton not wearing masks. And these 3 police officers standing on the corner outside are masked. Now, they couldn't look you in the eye when they're talking to you. Why is that? Well, because I just gave a talk about how masks are so dangerous, they reduce your oxygen, and they know. So if they didn't before, they knew after they heard, but they still continue to stay there in the mask. Why? Because they'll lose their job if they take it off. But if we all stay silent in this agenda, if we all just muzzle up and comply, it continues. You see, Gandhi says, when the government becomes lawless or corrupt, it's our sacred duty to resist. But I would say to resist just keeps the paradigm going, right? It just keeps it fumbling over and over and over again. And people start believing in the virus. They start believing that putting a mask on your face is normal, right? If you keep the illusion going, if you're contributing to the lie. So the only way we can shift that paradigm is first to know the research. Masks don't protect against the virus, and they're actually harmful to your health. That's the truth, and you can research that, well documented. And the second, the most important part that we're missing right now, I mean, I think people have caught on to the scam of the whole mask thing. You know, when the Fossey and Grouchy Fauci keeps contradicting himself of what he wants. I mean, I think we know, right? It's a bit of a scam. It's a bit of a joke, the whole mask thing. But now what we're missing in our humanity is our courage to stand up for what's true and what's just. And if you're a parent, putting your child in a mask for 8 hours a day and sending to the school, it's child abuse. It's child abuse. It's killing their brain cells, right? It's worse than smoking a pack of cigarettes and having them next to you, right? You have to put it in perspective. You're masking up their face. Now, we're not even talking about how it, covers up your facial expressions, how facial expression is really important for the vagus nerve to support your immune system. It helps us know when people are friendly or not. It gives us lots of information. It helps us communicate. We can see how people's lips are moving, and it helps us interpret and communicate, right? So that's an important part too. But again, my purpose in doing this video today is to try to instill courage, to try to get you to speak out and to just take off your mask. Because if we all just stood up right now and took off our masks, it would end. They couldn't continue this lie and illusion if we called them out on it, right? Like the emperor has no clothes. That story, little boy, everyone was just accepting that this was the case until somebody called them out on it. Well, I haven't worn a mask since this whole thing started. I live in Nova Scotia. We've had mandatory masks since July 31st. The day that it became mandatory, I went to the Halifax Shopping Centre just to test the theory of how many stores, and you can go back to the YouTube channel, you can see a video I did there, what they would do to me. Nothing. No one can smother you. It's illegal, right? The freaking mask, it's not a law, it's a scam. That's what it is, it's a scam. So, for those of you who don't like confrontation, I really don't like confrontation on it. So, this is what I say when I go into a store. Excuse me, ma'am, where's your mask? Oh, I don't wear a mask. It suppresses my oxygen. Or, oh my gosh, no, it affects my immune system. I can't wear a mask. Or, it's not Halloween yet, depending on the personality of the person challenging me, or if it's a big security guard, as I seen at Apple store with, I had to go through 3 levels of security. I just kind of flash my mask exemption. So you can get a mask exemption card. These are for, you can get them at maskexemption.ca, or you can get them at Hugs Over Masks. And I just printed this one out because I didn't want the, picture of the skeleton with the mask on his face. So I just printed out a nice one from Vistaprint, a business card. And I copied the human rights legislation, again, off the website, maskexemption.ca, and printed it on the back. So if you come into a security guard who has kind of an attitude, like you're not getting in here without a mask, you can say, it's my right not to wear a mask to reduce my oxygen. And if you ask me about that, you could be, fined. Human rights charges here in Nova Scotia, I think, are, up to $10,000 for even asking me to wear the mask. So if you flash that and it's highlighted, the number and the fact that it's a legal offense, to ask the nature of your disability, sometimes that kind of backs them down. So if you're in Costco and there's a big lineup and you're, whatever, you can just say, I have a mask exemption. It's illegal for you to ask. Can I, if they give you any hassle, I've seen somewhere in New Brunswick, because New Brunswick has just came on now to this. I mean, we've been doing it in Nova Scotia for a while. So if you have any questions, connect with me. But just say to the guy in the door, may I have your contact number, please, your name and your number, and can I speak to your supervisor? And then you could call the Human Rights Commission number while they're there. You know, sometimes you don't even get to that. As soon as you say, can I take your name and number, please, they disappear, or they'll let you in, or whatever. Or you call the supervisor and you explain to the supervisor that it's against your human rights to put you in a mask. Now, this is not just me saying this, okay? Rocco Galante, who is the lawyer hired by Vaccine Choice Canada, he says the same thing. They can't even ask you, they shouldn't ask you for a mask exemption, this or from your note from your doctor or whatever. They shouldn't even ask you. And if they do, like I said, it is a human rights offense, and that you can, you know, take them to court. It'll be a long time in the courts, but, you know, whatever. We're all busy right now. They're all busy right now trying to, you know, mask up the world. But so the mask exemption is just a tool, right? You don't need it. It's just a tool that if you're having problems maneuvering around in your environment, you can do this. So I've only been refused at a few different places. I've mentioned this before. Aveda Spa in Dartmouth Crossing, Erica Berger's office. She's a physiotherapist, pelvic floor physiotherapist, and also a massage place, which was called the not the Summit, but the, it'll come to me in a second. So what I did when I was refused, not only did I call, I said, so who put these laws in place, or these recommendations? Oh, our association. So I put the Cosmetology Association, the Massage Therapy Association, the Physiotherapy Association on notice that they're going against our human rights, and that if they're truly interested in our health, they're going to be supporting us. So what we need to do is reprimand the businesses that are trying to smother us, right? And we need to reward the businesses, compliment the businesses that are trying to help us. And I posted a sign, if you scroll down the Facebook page, a sign that businesses can put in the window. If you're not wearing a mask, we'll assume you have a medical disability, right? Our lovely government has put these laws in place, but we'll assume you have a disability and we won't ask. This is an honorable business. This is a business that cares about your health. Because you see, the governments are threatening these small businesses. They have put them in this despicable position of now being the mask police, you know, and holding them accountable. Right? The government is holding the small businesses accountable. We'll charge them if there's anyone in their store. Well, you just have to make sure you talk to your businesses and let them know that a human rights offense will cost them more than any charge that the government's going to slap on them. And you're just protecting your customers. So what we need now is not more science, because we know that masks are dangerous, right? They're suppressing your oxygen. That's not a heart. If you're going around all over, most people know, a 3-year-old will know that's not a good thing, right? What we need now is the courage to stand up to our governments, the courage to stand up. So these police officers in New Brunswick, they knew mask wearing is not healthy, right? Dr. Robert Strang, he knows. Fauci, he's at a ball game, right, with the mask pulled down on his chin. I mean, it's just for show. But why contribute to the lie, right? Why contribute? Just stand up and do something different. We have to create our own reality. You see, it's our example that makes our world. We are creating our own reality right now, first by our beliefs, understanding there's no boogeyman virus going to kill you, that the viruses and bacteria have been around for thousands of years. They actually strengthen our immune system. That this time of year we will see more viral detox. It's not a second wave of corona, right? It's natural process. Just like the leaves lose the trees lose their leaves, and there's a natural kind of death and rebirth that happens within our bodies too. So the fact that the deciduous leaves are losing their leaves, there's less oxygen around. The temperature is going down, so the particulate matter in the air is more dense, so the air is more polluted, if you will. And the light, this is why now I'm out walking my dog later in the day, just so I can get the sunlight and the vitamin D, really important. Not only for your immune system, it's probably one of the most important things for your immune system. And you're only getting a certain amount if you're, clothed, because you're in Canada and you've got like this much showing, but you have to supplement with vitamin D. But getting out in the sunlight, you're getting some, and in through your eyes, you also absorb vitamin D. But most importantly, right now, it also helps stimulate your pineal gland, or your pineal gland, which is kind of in the center of your head. So let's say, dark forces are trying to disconnect you from your spirit, from the truth, from humanity, from love. How do they do that? Well, they put fluoride in your water to calcify your pineal gland, right? They change the they changed the frequency of our music right back in 1940s to actually affect brain patterns. They put up cell towers all the way around. Cell towers, 5G cell towers that are from 30 to 300 gigahertz. So it's bombarding your cells, 90 to 100 to 300 billion times a second with this radiation to screw up your mind, to kind of disconnect you from who you are. They want to put you in a muzzle so you can't speak or so you can't communicate with your other humans, right? So they're trying to, and then of course the vaccine is, a hydrogel, DARPA hydrogel, so it will actually change your DNA. So what they're hoping is that they can put us all under this control, and the mask really is just, a test to see how plugged in you are to that program, how willing you are to submit to that agenda. Because the next thing will be the injections, and there'll be the same thing. You won't be allowed to shop, you won't be allowed to do this unless you have the injection. What are you going to do? Are you going to mask up, roll up, and inject? Become half human? Because this is what the DARPA hydrogel does. It blends into your DNA, and it makes you, they can monitor your moods, they can control your physiology, AI intelligence from a remote location. So this is kind of what the long-term plan is, right? This is, the mask's just the kind of start of it. But anyway, going back to viruses and why now we have a viral detox. Because the trees, the light is important for the pineal gland because the fluoride in the water, the toxins in the water, take that away. And then the toxins in our food, also affect our gut. And our gut is 80% of our immune system, right? So the glyphosate, which is, used as a herbicide to spray on genetically modified foods, was actually first planted as an antibiotic when it first came on the market. So it against biotic life, it wipes out all your natural bacteria. So that's why you're more susceptible to leaky gut type syndromes and food allergies and all those things, inflammation in your body. So Dr. Zach Bush, who talks about this, leaky gut and damage to your gut, has some products out there. Ion is one of them, and Restore, so you can look up that. So what else do I want to say? The pineal gland. There is some suggestion that the temperature readings here and the infrared, when they take it, can affect the pineal gland as well. If you have any research on that, I'd love to see it. I haven't really seen any hard signs. I've seen people saying that it does, but I know frequency affects us, and again, it's not good having a gun pointed to your head. So resist that, right? The whole idea, mask, muzzle, we're in a concentration camp. Someone emailed me yesterday and said, where are the quarantine centers in Halifax? I said, I think they're at a hangar in the airport, but I can't really focus on that. Right now I want to focus on creating the reality that I want. No masking, no injections, being with people, hugging, loving. I heard on Seaside FM this morning on my way here, right? Well, it's important to hug, but make sure you're wearing your mask. I thought, what is this? They have all the media programmed, right? Even little Seaside FM, they have programmed. They announced yesterday they're putting in an app, okay? This is the latest that I heard. I don't have a TV, but I do listen to the radio when I'm driving, so all my news comes from Seaside FM. But that's all you need is one station, because they all repeat the same thing, like little parrots. They're given their script in the morning. But it's Seaside FM, so they're putting in a COVID app. You can download a COVID app, so if anyone has COVID that's been within 6 feet of you. But they assure us they're not going to take your location and your information. Bullshit. Do not download any apps. They are tracking you right now, and they're just trying to kind of sell you into this whole, scam. So don't use the apps. Refuse all these things that they're trying to do to kind of, get you to submit to the agenda. But it's not about Justin Trudeau. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about Fauci, or it's not about Dr. Strain. It's about you. You see, because they will only do to you what you allow, right? So it's easy to shift the blame. We were on a call last night for the Atlantic, or Wednesday night, for the Atlantic Common Law Assembly that we've set up. So this is a common law assembly we've set up to include Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. And someone on the call says, well, what is the assembly going to do for me and the COVID measures? I said, we're not going to do nothing for you. You have to do it for you. What we're doing is collecting a group of sovereign minds and hearts, people that critically can analyze the information and have the courage to stand up to it, right? You can't look for someone else to protect you. But you're like a kid then. You're like a little baby. You have to stand up for yourself. What's my association going to say? Well, what did my association say? When I said, no, you can't silence my voice. I'm going to tell people about the dangers of vaccines. Well, they took my license. Well, fuck it. I'm going to just do something else. And I have been doing something else. And in our unregulated environment, there's going to be lots of opportunities for those of you who want to kind of leave your muzzle, want to leave the chains and come to a different nation, Canada, a nation that's ungoverned by this corrupt Canada. And maybe I'll just talk a little bit about that. But Canada is a corporation. When you're born, you're given a birth certificate. Your birth certificate is like a banknote to them. They estimate how much you will pay in your taxes over the period of your lifetime, and they can use you as an asset then in their corporation to borrow money from other people, like the Federal Reserve, which charges high interest rates and then can manipulate our governments into creating laws to protect big business and not protect you. So our governments are owned by these big corporations, and they're not protecting you. So you can disconnect from that corruption in that system, and you can come with us and create a sovereign nation. But you have to have courage, because if you want someone else to look after you, you're going to be back in that old system, right? If you want to stand up for what's true and what's just and be your own authority, my only authority is God, really. Somebody at a seminar at a rally on the weekend was talking about this politician, no. If God is your authority, right? If God is your authority, you know what to do. You don't have to ask your doctor. You don't have to ask your police force. You don't have to ask the principal at your school. You don't have to beg for oxygen, right? You know what's right in your own heart, and you have the courage to stand up for it. If you submit to any other authority besides God, you will be pulled around and pushed around just like a slave in your chains and in your muzzle. So now is the time. Now is the time to stand up. So, okay, there are viruses out there. Sometimes you get inflammation, right, from this change in the environment where we'll get a viral detox. And hydroxychloroquine, right? I mean, they've seen countries, third world countries where this is sold over the counter for malaria, have very low incidence of any kind of viral outbreaks. So, there is a remedy. I wrote down the recipe for hydroxychloroquine. Is actually quinine, and it's found in tonic water. And you can make that just by peeling grapefruits and lemons, putting it in a pot, 2 or 3 grapefruits, having about 3 inches of water, letting it boil for about 2 hours. Keep the cover on until it's cooled so you can get the condensation. And then you drink it like a tea. And that's really helpful for your immune system, right? Who knew? Grapefruit seed extract, right? Grapefruit is just naturally good for us. And then Richard Bartlett, MD, who was interviewed on the High Wire yesterday, right? He's from Texas, and he was talking about the budesonide as a drug that he uses. But that is just a corticosteroid. It's a steroid that reduces inflammation. So what can you do to reduce inflammation? Well, you can avoid the things that cause it, like dairy and genetically modified foods, and wheat is the most genetically modified food. That increases inflammation. Sugars. So avoid all those carbohydrates. And you can do things to support inflammation. So what decreases inflammation? High doses of vitamin C, the bowel tolerance. Andrew Saul talks a lot about this. And, sodium ascorbate is great in a crystal form, or liposomal C is something that I use. But high doses of vitamin C are really important now at this time of year, as well as vitamin D. And you take about 1,000 international units per 25 pounds of body weight of vitamin D3. I take D3 and K2 together, and the supplement that I take is called Body by Dr. Wayne Garland. And the vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc is really important. And if you take the zinc with this, grapefruit peel tea, it's a powerful immune boost. So the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the zinc, iodine is really important because we're all deficient in iodine. So I just get a little dropper full of iodine and take that. And when I take my dog out, he loves to eat the seaweed. So I'm thinking, you know what? He's probably iodine deficient too. But if we're listening to our body, we kind of know what feels good. So right today I'm fasting because I woke up this morning after having some things yesterday that I shouldn't have eaten, and I felt kind of like inflamed. So fasting for 24 hours is a great way to detoxify your body. It's a great way to kick up your immune system. And getting the right sleep, trying to protect yourself. So there's things that I do. If you want information on this, email me, but there's things I wear, things that I have in my space, queue at home to help protect against the radiation outside. I use my phone for live videos, for pictures, and then I turn it off, because that cellular technology, I unplug our router at night. We have a Faraday cage over our router. These are things to help support your immune system and to keep your body healthy during these crazy, crazy times. So you can email me. I'll post my email address, or healthtruth.blog. Healthtruth.blog, I've written many articles. Masked Truths is one where I've given, the information on the PCR test and how it's bullshit, that the PCR test was never developed to identify a virus, and it shows you the science behind that. It shows you the science behind mask wearing. And the last article that I wrote was called The Second Wave. It also gives you the information that I'm talking about right now. So healthtruth.blog. You can also send me a message through there if you need it. But what was I saying? So, we have to kind of look at our environment and what we can do, what we're putting into our body, what we're putting on our body, what we're exposing our body to, light instead of, negative press, listening to CBC, how many new cases. It's a cold, it's a freaking flu. There's been no greater deaths from this virus than any other in any other year. And especially this year, 58 of the 64 deaths in Nova Scotia were at the long-term care facility called Northwood Manor. Likely all of those people had the flu shot. So you see, a virus has to be ingested or injected. They're injecting. What are they injecting when they inject the flu shot? The flu, the corona sequence. So, avoid that. And the whole scam right now is, protect your immune system, get the flu shot. That's deadly. It's deadly. Don't get the flu shot. So these are things that you can do to help keep your body healthy. Exercise, getting the right rest, eating organic if you can, filtering your water, just natural things. But again, the supplements would be the vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and iodine. And then, if you think of anything else that I'm missing, thank you everyone for watching, by the way. If there's anything else I'm forgetting, please feel free to pop it in here, or a link you want to share. We're a team, we're working together. Facebook is censoring a lot of us, and a lot of my friends have disappeared. So if I lose you here, healthtruth.blog is where you can find me, and I'll keep writing there as long as I can. My YouTube channel, you can look at me there, find some videos that I've done there. And I just joined MeWe. So I'm trying to find a platform. I also have a BitChute channel. So the ones that Facebook doesn't approve or that takes down, I just switch them over to BitChute. But, we have to be like water, right? They're putting blocks everywhere, and we just have to kind of, find our way through. But the most important thing that I think is essential, really, is finding your center. And that might mean, 5, 10, 15 minutes of meditation a day. Understand that we're connected to a higher power, that we're all connected in this grid of energy, and what we do to each other and what we do to our environment, we're actually doing to ourselves. You see, to spray glyphosate on our trees and kill our trees, we lose our oxygen. It goes into our groundwater, we drink it, and it goes into us. To mask up your kids and reduce the oxygen is going to affect their brain function. It'll affect their connection with you. So you see, what we do to ourselves, we do to others and the environment. So when you can understand that your highest power, this greater good, doesn't have to be God, I don't know, whatever you call the God. It could be Elvis, Buddha, unconditional love, grace, whatever that power is that you believe that made you and sustains us. This is what you have to connect to right now. Outside of any other authority that's feeding you bullshit, right? And you have to rise above it. So again, create the reality that you want in your mind. Pull away from some of the technology, because that can feed your fear. You need to be informed, but just to watch the same video that says the same thing. There's quarantine centers being set up. They're going to get mandatory. To constantly feed your mind those things will create stress on your immune system. So get the information you need, then get outside in nature, grounding, right? Because nature has a frequency that helps balance our body. It's actually the same frequency that our DNA resonates with, 7.83 hertz, Sherman resonance. So if you're out in nature and you're grounding, it helps kind of push that reset button. You're getting the light that helps, reset your pineal gland, your vitamin D. You're not wearing your mask. You can be out with your dog, and they give you unconditional love. So create the environment that you want. And when others see you, this is the brilliant thing. When others see you out enjoying yourself, having a good time, not wearing a mask, they want to be like you, right? They want to be like that too. So then you have to show them, right? You have to show them how to get there. You have to teach them. So the first thing I would say is kind of understand the facts. Attach to a higher power. Be the change you want to see. And then inspire it in others. You just have to hold the space. Hold the loving space for transformation. No need to reprimand them, right? When somebody's struggling or they're stressed, your reprimand is just going to drive them further into their hole. You have to use humor. You have to use love to kind of pull them out and create that loving space that we want to change. So again, thank you all for watching. I'm going to close out now by just giving my blog site again that has all this information, and it's well referenced, healthtruth.blog. To thank you, because it's you that share things. We're a team. We're sharing things, and we're putting it together, and we're helping each other. And this unity, right? This unity in our humanity is our strength right now, right? Remembering our connection to divine, but also remembering and honoring our connection to one another. So healthtruth.blog, YouTube, there is an article about Sophia. If you type in Sophia in the search engine at healthtruth.blog, it talks about remembering our connection to limitless light. And I think this might be helpful for people right now who are struggling to find their courage to stand up against the corrupt system. But again, the last two articles are more about masks and health and understanding how to support your immune system naturally. So I think that was everything. Hi, Michelle. Michelle's like my all-time friend, my kindred spirit from Newfoundland. So thanks, Michelle. Great to see you. So healthtruth.blog, my YouTube channel, inviting you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill, signing out.